Hi, Lakeisha. Welcome to my show.
Hi, thank you for inviting me.
No, no worries, definitely. So I'm going to just jump right into the questions.
Okay.
And the first question is, what career did you want to do when you were in grade school, high school, and college?
Grade school, high school, and college. Oh my goodness. In grade school, I knew I wanted to be an artist because I would draw a lot. Like on any piece of paper, any blank paper in a book or anything, I was drawing on
Hmm.
it. And I just knew I wanted to be like some sort of creative. And when I got to junior high school, I had realized that I wanted to do fashion design because prior to junior high school, I used to like take old t-shirts that like anyone in my family would wear because we all lived in this like multi-family home. And I would cut them up and I would make Barbie clothes. I would make gowns. I
Oh,
would make bikinis. I would do all this stuff.
uh-huh.
I remember I accidentally cut my mom's like her favorite like Tony Braxton t-shirt. It's like one of those like like the concert
Yes,
t-shirts.
exactly.
I thought it was a shirt that I was cutting up earlier. I cut up I cut into her shirt. She lost her mind. Like I didn't care though because I was like happy I got to do what I wanted to
Exactly,
do.
exactly.
And so in junior high school, I was like, yeah, I want to do fashion design. So I applied to like art and design, fashion industries high school. I applied to a couple other schools just to apply, but I knew that I wanted to go to fashion industries. I'm like, I want to be a fashion designer. Like you couldn't tell me anything.
Yeah.
And I got into the school and it was such an amazing experience because I got to be around like so many different like ethnicities and cultures. I grew up in an area where it's pretty much a lot of Caribbean
Mm-hmm.
people. Like my
Mm-hmm.
family's from Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of Jamaicans in the area that I grew up in. And then you have like a little bit of like Antiguan, Guyanese. You have African. Um, and then you also had like a small Asian community as well. And so I had like a mix, but I didn't have like a broad mix of people that I was around, especially in school.
Mm-hmm.
So it just opened up my eyes to like so many different things, so many different ways of being and upbringings, and it was really cool. And I still continued on after high school. I went to Fashion Industries High School.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Fashion Institute of Technology,
Technology, yes.
and I got my associate's degree there in fashion design. And I worked in fashion for a little bit. I did product development for brands like Rockaware, Billionaire Boys Club. I even dabbled in the jewelry industry a little bit. I worked
Okay.
for a jewelry designer. I worked in her flagship location where like pretty much her business was ran.
Mm-hmm.
So anywhere from her doing like consultations for certain celebrities for custom work that
Mm-hmm.
have been buying her, jewelry for years to like, different like pop-up and shopping events and just like the day-to-day of like mail order and people coming in to buy gifts for their wives or their daughters or friends or whomever. But makeup was something that I always loved. I just never thought about it as a career.
Okay.
And I was always into like, primping and pampering myself because I would watch my mom. Like, if my mom was going to the supermarket, she would do her eyeliner, her lip gloss, perfume, lotion, this, that
Mm-hmm.
to go to the supermarket. And
Okay.
so that became a normal thing to me.
Yeah.
Um, so I was always interested in it, but it was just very glamorous to me. Like that's me watching my mom and my aunts get ready for parties to go
Mm-hmm.
to like, popular clubs in the Bronx back in the 90s and
Yeah.
stuff like that, early 2000s. And it was just, I just loved the process of putting the look together.
Mm-hmm.
So makeup was just something that I naturally enjoyed. I would do it on my friends, on myself in high school. And then as I got into college, like I would do it here and there, but I still never thought about a career in beauty,
Mm-hmm.
let alone what I'm doing now,
Yeah.
a career in skincare.
Mm-hmm.
So while I was working in fashion, I would dabble a little bit. I started making friends with like makeup artists to kind of like learn the ins and outs of what it takes to be a makeup artist, what comes along with like following that career and,
Yeah.
sacrifices you have to make, the pros and the cons. And I eventually like went full force into being a makeup artist. I got the dream job of working at a MAC counter, because everyone who does
Yeah,
makeup,
everyone
you
loved
want to
Mac.
start at a MAC
Exactly.
counter. So I was living in Harlem at the time, just like a few blocks up from Central Park, and I got my job in Yonkers.
Oh.
Because by this time I wasn't living in the Bronx anymore.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I just need my foot in the door. So I'm going to take this job. I'm going to work here for 6 months. And then once my 6 months is up, I'm going to transfer to a location in Manhattan, because this commute, it was crazy. It would take me 2 hours to get to work.
Yeah.
But it was an awesome experience. Like, I really learned how to be a makeup artist there. I was already kind of like in sales with like the retail jobs that I've had and like working for the jewelry designer, but getting to learn from other makeup artists, learning little tips and tricks and just like how like formulations work together and creating longevity with your look and all of that. So I spent about 2 years at MAC before deciding to just fully freelance. And it was during my time freelancing, after a few years, that I decided to get my aesthetics license. Now, when I decided that I was going to go to esthetician school, I still went because of makeup.
Okay.
I said
that was going to be your fallback.
Yeah, like not even really a fallback. Like, I had got called for a job, and the job was for like a daytime TV show. And certain networks and production companies, like if they're hiring like hairstylists or makeup artists, you either have to be a part of a union or you have to be licensed. So a licensed cosmetologist, licensed esthetician. So the person reached out to me and she said, are you in the union? Are you licensed? And I'm like, no, I'm neither of those things. And she was like, well, let me see if my, producer would give me a break, because I really need someone to cover me for this job because I'm going on vacation. And I said, well, I'm available. Hopefully they say yes. And she called me back in 5 minutes and she was like, yeah, it's going to be a no. I'm sorry. Like, thank you for saying yes. But, she was like, it can be a liability issue. And I said, okay. And before she got off the phone, I said, can I ask you a question? She said, sure. I said, would you suggest that I try to get to the union because that's something I've been thinking about, or should I get my license? And she said, I think you should get your license, get your esthetician license, because you can do so much more with it. And that's all she said.
Okay.
And I said, okay. So I started looking into it. I'm like, okay. Started looking into like, are they going to make it a thing in New York where makeup artists need to be licensed? Because at least I can be ahead of the game with that. What kind of jobs do licensed estheticians have? And I just started looking into it. And I said, well, if it's going to further my career as a makeup artist, I'm going to do it. And when I initially applied for school, I didn't get the aid that I needed because financially I knew I couldn't do it on my own. So I said, okay, I'm not going to go this year. I'll try again next year. So this was 2015. I tried again in 2016. I said, if I get financial aid, I'm going to go. No matter what. I'm going to figure it out, but I'm going to go. And I did. So I got it. I went part-time, and I went to school at night, and during the week I was freelancing during the day. There was like 1 or 2 times I couldn't go to school because I really wanted to do a particular photo shoot that I got booked for. I remember they reached out to me from, I think it was Who, What, Where.
Yes, I love their clothes.
They reached out to me for a segment that they were doing. They were doing a big shoot for it, and they needed a makeup artist. And I told my instructor, I said, yes, I'm not coming to school next week. I was like, I'm just gonna miss one day.
Yeah.
And they give you a certain amount of days you can miss where it won't interfere with your hours for school. And I just was very strategic with the jobs that I chose. And thankfully, like, I maxed out on my days, which was fine because I did the jobs that I wanted to do and everything else was kind of like in between. And I went to school and I learned a lot. It changed the game for me as far as like learning how the skin operates and just like being well versed in what these ingredients in the products that we use, what they do, how to help someone with their skin beyond just like makeup, because makeup gives you that instant gratification, right? But overall, people do want healthier looking skin. So to be able to do that, that's like, it's 2 different sides of the spectrum. Like, I respect what makeup artists do, and I say that now because I'm not practicing as a makeup artist anymore. I'm not taking clients anymore. I've been fully immersed in my business. But what makeup artists do, it's beautiful. Like
Yeah.
you can, a person's whole mood can change just from you doing their makeup.
Mm-hmm.
Like they light up, their best selves really does shine through
Yeah.
once you're done putting together the look. So that was a beautiful feeling. But it's also a different feeling when you help someone overcome like their insecurities and everything with their skin, and you help them like get to the best version of themselves, of like how they really see themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got my license, I was still pursuing makeup, but I said, you know what? Let me try and see if I can do this at home. So I did start my business before, back in 2017, but I just was kind of like, oh, I'm going to take some facials, I'm going to take some clients. And then I realized I wasn't ready to run a business. I was like, this is cool, but I would rather learn. And I would rather work somewhere and learn how to run the business, because I don't have an example of that. I didn't grow up watching like my uncle or my aunt or whatever run their own business.
What did you feel you were missing that you wanted to
I think
learn?
It was just the understanding of how to structure yourself as a business. Like, what do you need? You know, like if you tell me to do something creative, I can do that with my eyes closed. Like, I'm not a person that likes to do all of the logistical things that come along with running a business. I do like to create the aesthetic, you know, I love the client experience, but all the other stuff I don't really like to do. And that's just honest. But I still need to know it. You know, I think any smart business owner, whether they want to do those things or not, they should at least know how it's done, so that they're not fully dependent on the knowledge of someone else, because they have no idea how to do this thing that they need to do in their business. So I went and worked for a company to kind of just get my feet wet, just like, you know, seeing clients super repetitively, but also seeing like, how do you run this? Like, if I dream of one day having my own salon or larger facial studio where I want to employ other estheticians, I need to know how you do this. Because it's not just about doing the facial when you're thinking about it on such a broad scale. So I worked with this company I worked with them for like 3 years. I did take a break in between working with them, because again, I was still like, I'm going to be a makeup artist and I'm going to, you know, take my career to the next level. And during that time, I kept getting opportunities that were like skincare related. And people were so like, they were so intrigued by the fact that I was an esthetician, like more than I've ever seen as being a makeup artist. And I'm like, okay, there's something here. Even though I'm a little resistant to it, I need to lean into it. And once I did, things started to change for me. And I started my business in 2019. And this is all these changes over the span of like, oh my gosh, like pretty much 10 years. Like, I worked in fashion, I worked in makeup, I worked in jewelry, like, and I never thought about it in a positive way of exploring. I always felt like I didn't know what I wanted, or I couldn't figure it out, or, you know, the scarcity mindset. So sometimes you just have to do things you don't necessarily want to do because you have to make sure you're okay financially and whatever. But all those things that I learned is how I'm able to run my own business, even though I'm like, I've never had an example of that.
So, sorry, go ahead, finish your thought.
No, like, because even though it's like, when you think of an example, you're thinking of like someone close to you. So you're thinking like family or family friend. You're not thinking of like, well, you pretty much help other people run their business.
So becoming an esthetician, prior to becoming an esthetician, did you have any problems with your skin that you figured out how to manage prior to, and did it change once you became an esthetician?
I didn't necessarily have like the typical issues that people think about prior to becoming an esthetician, like acne or like severe hyperpigmentation. I mean, I definitely have like inflammation and sensitivity. So I would start to pay attention more to, okay, in school, they don't just talk about like facials and facial treatments and skincare. It's also like your lifestyle. What are you eating? Are you exercising? Are you eating anti-inflammatory foods? So for me, it was like, okay, it's all connected, even though people just focus on what they see. So they're like, okay, I see this on my face, so I need to get this product, or I need to do this facial, and then everything will be fine. But it's like, no, you need to change your lifestyle. Yeah. You could be living an inflammatory lifestyle and not know that, you know? And I'm not perfect. Like, I know I have my times where I'm like indulging.
Yeah.
But I also know what is best for me because I got that education. So I try to like educate my clients as much as I can to let them know, like, listen, it's not just you sticking to your routine. Yeah. It might be you also pulling back on how much dairy you consume, how much sugar you consume. You know, gluten could be a trigger for you. Are you moving a lot? Do you exercise? Are you stimulating your lymph nodes just by movement? Yeah. And people don't think about that when it comes to their skin. They're just thinking, okay, I need this product, and if I use it for a couple of days, it should clear me up.
Exactly. And so when because part of my podcast is about pregnancy, but even prior to that, you know, like there are hormonal changes as teenagers that can affect your skin that go all throughout their adulthood and then beyond. But so what I'm hearing is, when do you recommend someone come see an esthetician? Because I think most people think, I'm going to go after I have a problem.
It's like regular maintenance, like how you would go and get a checkup, or you would get a teeth cleaning. You go see your dentist, say like, hey, what's going on? Do I have any cavities in there? Am I good? Have I been doing the right thing? You kind of go and you check in. Most people, if they feel like, oh, I don't have, you know, it's all about verbiage too. Yes. Like, oh, I don't have bad skin, you know? Oh, so I don't need to do anything. Yeah. And then if that changes, that's when they feel like they need to do something. But no, it's even if you're in maintenance mode, even if you're just like, oh, I've never really had a breakout or whatever. Yeah, but you're rinsing your face with water, and then you put Vaseline on. Yeah. Like, you don't have a routine that's like providing anything to your skin. So it doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong, or you should wait until something is wrong to come. Like, if you're curious about how can you maintain your skin, how can you keep your skin healthy, you should come and get a facial. Don't just wait until you're having severe hyperpigmentation or your skin is freaking out from stress and now it's breaking out. Yeah. Don't wait until then, because you can prevent that. And I can talk to you about that stuff, because you're not going to know that stress is like one of the main triggers for most people's acne. Yeah. You're not going to know that because you're like, oh, my skin's fine, I don't need to do anything. That's a waste of money. That's how some people think of it, as opposed to just like, I want to maintain what I have, and if I can make it better, can you show me how?
And I know, for example, that there are times when I've gone to a nail salon and they have the facials. And I think a lot of people think that, oh, that's enough. Like, oh, I can just go to them and get a facial where I get my nails, not understanding that there's a deeper technology to it than just doing that one facial. So the major difference is, like, you know, basically you should definitely see an esthetician and not go to where you get your manicure to go get a facial.
Yeah, I feel that there's some people, I know it's a financial thing too, right? Because this is a luxury service. I do look at it as essential though, because it's also getting that moment to have an experience of touch, because some people don't experience like human touch on a regular basis. And when they come in for their massages or their facials, that's the only time they're getting human touch, and we need that. But I know that sometimes it can be a financial issue because it's an investment. So if you could come quarterly or twice a year just to kind of check in, like, hey, this is what I've been doing for the past 6 months. Let me know if there's anything that I should change. Do you think I'm doing okay? What could I be doing better? Or should I just keep going? Am I on the right path? And I have a client like that. Like, she comes in, she came in the other day. I haven't seen her since COVID started. And she came in for a facial. She's like, I'm so excited to see you. I hope you notice a difference in my skin. Cause, you know, based on our last facial, I took all your suggestions and this is what I'm doing. She took pictures of all her products. She showed me everything. I could tell her skin looked good before she even got on the bed.
So that's another thing we talked about one time before, because in full disclosure, you're my esthetician. But It's products, right? So
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that you do in your questionnaire is ask what products are people using. And we kind of had this conversation of like, before you go see your esthetician, you should not be, for example, I saw that Luminous commercial and I'm going to buy this full product without fully understanding like what that is and what your skin texture is. So can you talk a
Yeah.
little bit about, like when you go in for a facial with you, you're not just cleaning the skin, you're also examining and then recommending what products. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like consumers can be way more smarter if they just come in and get a consultation from a professional. So that consultation can look like a facial with my when my clients come in, new clients. Your facial is 90 minutes. Out of those 90 minutes, we're spending like 15 minutes just talking about what you're using. What do you know about skincare? What's your history? Have you been to a dermatologist before? Is this your first facial? How come you've never got a facial before or gone to a dermatologist? Do you have some apprehension? If you know you're coming in for a facial, but then you see your favorite like it girl or it boy post something about their skin and their product and you go and buy it, it kind of defeats the purpose because now it just looks like I am now telling you to buy more product.
Yes.
Right? When really I'm just trying to make the best suggestion for you. Skincare is trial and error. It sometimes people, I hit it on the head and it works right away. And for some people, it takes us a little bit more time. Mm-hmm. So that's why I say it's an investment. Because some people's skin is very, very nuanced and unique, and you might think something will work just based on the knowledge that we have as professionals. And sometimes people challenge you, and you have to try some things. But if you're gonna go and like buy a bunch of products before coming in for a treatment, it kind of defeats the purpose because you're doing it blindly. Mm-hmm. You're buying things based on what you think you see. You have no confirmation. Yeah. Or you look at another person online and you're like, I think my skin is like this, so I'm just gonna get that. And then you get that thing and then you're wondering like, why does my face feel dry now? Or why is it burning all the time? Or why am I breaking out? So it's best to get a consultation from an esthetician or a dermatologist to be able to guide you so that you can be a smarter consumer when you shop for products.
So I think what that brought home to me, one of the things that when we talked about is like, not just buying something because it works on someone else's skin. So what should people look out for when after they've come to you, for example, and you've recommended products, and what would they then tell you? To know if the product is working or if the product is not working? Like, what should they be looking for on their skin?
Well, I like to tell clients to take pictures.
Okay.
Because you're looking at your face every day. So sometimes you're not going to see the changes. It's kind of like when you're working out and your goal is to lose weight. Yeah. A lot of the time you don't notice that you're losing weight. It takes someone else seeing you and telling you like, wow, like you look smaller. Like you look at what you're doing is working. You look good, know? So take pictures. I will talk to you about what I see and point it out to you. Like, okay, you see these fine lines in your forehead. It's really because you're dehydrated. It's not expression lines. Or you see all that flaking that you're experiencing or the sensitivity. That's because you're using this particular product too much. Let's decrease the amount of usage or X, Y, and Z. But taking pictures helps because then you can look at your face and see that, okay, when I took this 2 weeks ago, my skin looked so tired and it looked dull and it looked dry. And now I look more awake and I look bright and vibrant. I don't expect them to know the verbiage as a professional to know, to be able to say certain things, but I try to give them that information and just showing them what that looks like so that they know what to look for. Like if this gets worse, it's probably not working. But if you start to see it look smoother and brighter, softer, then it's working. But pictures always help. I am a super advocate for you taking pictures weekly. I know some people it can feel like a chore, but it really does help you see whether or not the products that you're investing in and the treatments that you're investing in are working.
Yeah. Is there anyone who should not see an esthetician?
I think that's a little bit of a tough one. I feel like if you have like a specific skin disease, if you've been in and out of the doctor you should be going to your doctor first to see if you can see an esthetician. Because if you have certain skin conditions that require you to be under the care of a physician, it more than likely there are a lot of products you can't really use on your skin. And sometimes there are facial practices that specialize in treating only people with sensitive skin. So I'm talking about your eczema, your rosacea, your psoriasis. Like they only work with those kind of clients because it's very limited the amount of things that you can use on someone with those type of skin diseases, lesions, conditions. So I would say if you require the care of a physician, ask your physician first. Don't just go to an esthetician.
Okay.
And if you do, for whatever reason, if that person doesn't have like an intake form or questionnaire, let them know like, hey, I just want to let you know I booked an appointment with you and I felt that you should know that I have psoriasis and I get flare-ups on my face, or I have rosacea and this has happened in the last week, or I have eczema and my skin is really sensitive to X, Y, and Z. Like you have to give me all the information to be able to tailor that treatment to you. But if you're under the care of a physician, check with them first and then say, okay, I can book. If they say no, then they say no.
That's all great information. The one question I wanted to ask that I didn't put on before to give you was, how did you come up with the name of your studio? I love the name.
Thank you.
And the name say the name too, by the way.
Oh, it's called Melaskin Studio. I was sitting at my computer desk and I was like, working on the business. I was working on like, logistical side, like structuring my business, getting everything in place before like, doing all the fun stuff that I like to do, designing the space, etc. It just popped into my head and I wrote it down and I texted my best friend and I said, how does this sound to you? And she's like, I think that sounds really dope. And I was like, it's a play on like melanin and skin. She's like, no, I can tell. I was like, it doesn't sound silly, right? She's like, no, like it makes sense. And I just stuck with it. I normally would like second guess myself and start to think about it too much. But I was like, you know what? I just kept writing it down on paper. And then I remember calling my CPA at the time who helped structure my business. I was like, hey, I need to do a DBA for my business. And this is the name. And I just stuck with it. And I just kept I just kept saying the name like, oh, I'm going to open Melaskin Studio because my studio, Melaskin Studio. I just kept saying it. And yeah, that's it.
And tell us a little bit about some of the services that you do provide.
So my services are pretty custom. I don't really like to say I specialize in anything besides the fact that I do focus on treating Black men and women and people of color. A lot of my, like, when I do anything, I'm always like, how does it work with our skin? This is my clientele. It's important to me to not use things that are going to cause post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation, that's not going to irritate their skin. Like, I don't want to use things that are going to that have like a huge possibility of causing an adverse effect. Like, the purpose of them coming here is for them to feel good, to feel safe, and to just experience effective treatments. So I customize all of my facials. Like, I don't feel that any of my facial treatments are the same because everyone that comes in that lays down in front of me, they have different skin concerns. They have different insecurities about their skin. They have different skin conditions and lesions. So my approach for everyone is different. But I offer a customized facial treatment. I do use LED light therapy. I also do a little bit of high frequency, and I do microdermabrasion. I just got a new machine in that's like a wet and dry dermabrasion, so I'm excited about that. And I'll be offering some like superficial peels, nothing that, maybe one or two that has downtime, but most of them will be pretty much like you can, go about your day. But yeah, I try not to get too aggressive unless it's required. And I don't use that approach for everyone. I don't feel that approach is for everyone. I do honestly feel like you can do like a low and slow method and still achieve the same results. The client just has to be committed to the journey.
Yeah. That's so wonderful. I mean, I highly recommend everyone go and get a facial with you because you
Yeah.
already know I recommend you all the time.
Thank
Anytime
you.
someone talks about my skin.
Thank you. And
Yeah.
one of my favorite things to do, I mentioned movement before. I do believe in movement for the face. So I do a lot of like massage. I do have a special massage technique treatment that I offer. I do gua sha. So movement and
Yeah.
massage is like really, really important to me. So if you're into facial massage, you should definitely come and get a facial with me.
Definitely. Wonderful. The next segment that I move into is called Daily Inspiration. So,
Mm-hmm.
in this, I want to know what brings you joy?
I saw that question and I was just like, oh my gosh. Right now, it's getting time to be around my friends and my family, like people that make me feel good,
Yeah.
that just spending time with them. I'm still trying to figure out the things that bring me joy by myself because I've been really, really busy and just like working. You know, COVID really affected my business for like
Yeah.
6 months out of last year. I couldn't work. So for me, it's been hard to pull away from work.
Yeah.
And even like today, Mondays and Tuesdays are my days off from the studio, and I'm here. You know, I'm answering client emails. I'm checking in on them. I'm texting them. I'm following up with people, and you know, some relationships have ended with certain clients because they wanted more than I could give. So it's been hard to find like joy that's just for me, that doesn't necessarily involve someone else. And I'm actively working on that because I know it's something that's missing for me, and it's very present for me that it is missing. But I have been finding some joy in like sharing like my home on Instagram and like sharing my home decor because it's not something that I do for work. So it's my home, and I really do enjoy being home, even though I don't get to spend that much time there.
But I mean, even your studio space is an unusual studio space. You know, it's
You
like
think so?
I mean, in the sense that you walk into an office building, right? And people assume that they're going to walk into an office room with just a table, and then you've decorated, and it looks like a mini apartment. Like it's comfy. The aesthetic is really warm and inviting and relaxing. So, you definitely have a touch. Yeah.
That's exactly because I started Melaskin Studio in our old apartment in our second bedroom. When I decided to come here, I'm like, okay, it's very officey. It's beautiful. It's clean. It's modern. They renovated the whole thing prior to me finding out about the space. I was just like, I don't want them to feel like they're walking into an office. Like, I don't want them to feel like it's like a doctor's appointment.
Yeah.
Like, I like coziness. Most people, when they come here, they're in a vulnerable space, right? Yes. And you're allowing me to touch you, physically touch your body, your personal space. You're allowing me to do that. So my way of showing my appreciation for that and to make you feel comfortable is to make it feel homey. So that's why when people come in, I'm like, yeah, take your shoes off, hang your coat up, like take everything off, take the day off. You're safe, you're good, you're gonna relax. This is all about you, it's not about me. And so when I was designing the space, I thought of that. Like, if I wanted it to feel like I was like inviting you over for dinner almost.
Yeah. It feels like that. It does feel like that. Like you do feel like you're walking into a different space, especially after coming from the waiting room, and then you're like, oh, yeah. You definitely do get that. What's your favorite scent?
My favorite scent. Oh my goodness. So there is a brand that I like. Damn, this is so hard because there's a brand that I like, and there's a candle scent that I like. So there's a brand that I like called Le Labo. They have this scent called Patchouli 24.
Oh, I like patchouli. Yeah.
And it's a unisex perfumery, and my husband actually wears this scent. So I'll put it on me if I feel like we haven't been spending a lot of time together because we've been so busy. So it makes me feel like he's with me. But I love things with like patchouli, bergamot, myrrh, sandalwood. Like I like that musky, luxurious. scent. I mean, I do enjoy the typical like lavender, rose, like I love that, but there's something about that just like, it's so luxurious, and it's strong, meaning strength, not like strong as in scent.
Yes.
Like too much, but it's also comforting to me.
Yeah. I like that one. I like that. I'll have to look into that one. What's a quote or a saying that inspires you?
A quote or a saying that inspires me. I don't have one in particular, but this woman I came across the other day, she said something that like blew my mind. She said that you're at war with what's happening in your imagination than what's actually happening in reality.
Oh, I felt that. Felt that.
And I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. Like, we really make things worse than what they actually are, but in our minds.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that blew my mind. She's a lawyer. She's an attorney. I think she does like divorce and stuff.
Oh, I know exactly who you're talking about on Instagram, and she's always like inspiring. And yeah, she wears like these 6-inch stilettos and the outfits. Yes, and they're always, and she has a son. Yes, I know exactly who you're talking about. She is fierce. Yeah.
Her confidence. When she's like, come on, give the people what they want. I need you to come up
slow.
I was just like,
yeah.
But I watched the whole video because it was like, I don't know, like 6 minutes or something like that. And I'm glad I watched it because I would have never like heard her say that. Yeah. And when she said that and she repeated it, she's like, let me say that again for you.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow.
Yeah. I like her a lot. Yeah. I don't know how I came across her and started following her, but yeah, that same. She's very confident, always inspiring, always talking about, the positive side of things, even how difficult divorce is. Yeah, I like her. Yeah. I forget her name.
And it just made me feel really present. Like, listen, it's not that bad. Keep doing your best.
Yeah.
Like, whatever your best looks like, keep doing that. If you know you're not doing your best, then, keep pushing. And just being okay with, like, failure.
Yeah.
Right? I had a perfect example. I had an email from a client. He's out in California. We've been trying some things with his routine, and it's like up and down. And I said, okay, I would like to try something else with you if you would allow me to. And I will track your progress over the next couple months. Because more than anything, I just want to help people with their skin, because I can, even though it's an emotional thing and doing the work that I do, if you're not in the right space emotionally, it's hard for you to help your clients.
Yeah.
Because it's an emotional thing for them. So sometimes, and it's been very difficult with dealing with my own personal things and COVID.
Yeah.
And then also the things that are coming up for people because they've been stressed and their skin is like, I've never seen anything like it before. The amount of people that have like acne and all of that right now, like I've never seen anything like it. And it's a lot, especially if you've never experienced it before. And your body's response to stress is that. And you're like, what is happening to me? And it messes with people on top of what they're already dealing with. So we're both dealing with this stuff, right? We're dealing with this world stuff together. Then I have my personal stuff. You have your personal stuff, but you're coming to me for one of those things. So I have to make sure I am in the best space possible to help you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like I veered off a little bit.
No, that was perfect, because we were talking about, this is part of the whole experience as well. Like, people have to understand that it's not just topical. It's also, and then you as a person touching someone's body. It's like, you said you're Jamaican. My family's Panamanian. I have Jamaican and St. Lucian and all of that in there. But it's the same thing of like, there's energy in things that we do. Yeah. Right. And there's energy in when we touch someone's body, right, as a doula, and then, or people touching your hair, and like you said, touching your face, that's energy. Yeah.
It's so much energy. And when he emailed me, he said, I thought about it, and I think I'm just going to go with the dermatologist. I don't feel like the routine thing is working out for me right now. And it could just be that he's like, I can't really stick with it.
Yeah.
Like, he's never really had a routine before, and he's never broken out before.
Yeah.
So he's dealing with two new things where he's like, I don't really have the bandwidth to go through
manage
this journey.
Exactly.
Like, I need my skin to get back to what it was, because I don't know what this is. And I had to take a moment and respect it and just say that it doesn't mean you did a bad thing.
Yeah. But
take a step back and see how you could have did it better.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
that just means you care, you know, and you do.
Yeah, I care a lot.
Exactly. And the underlying tone is that you want to help. So
yeah,
that is a good thing. What would you like to see change in your career?
Just me personally or the industry?
Whatever resonates with you the most.
I would like to see more people be patient with themselves. Be patient with the journey, because skin wellness is a journey. And it takes commitment from both parts. Like, as long as you show me you're committed, I'm committed to you. I'm always going to be committed because I do this work. Yeah. But as long as you're committed to me, like, I'm here. Like, I'm here to help you. I mean, I'm not at anyone's beck and call, but I'm here to help you. I've made myself available in certain ways. I communicate to you so that you don't feel alone. But I would like to see people be more patient. I would like to see the beauty industry change their verbiage around how they talk about people's skin, and just not using words like good skin, bad skin, better skin, you know, because what happened, you know, acne is normal. It's a normal thing. Hyperpigmentation, that is normal, especially if you're a Black man or woman or a person of color. Honey, you're going to get hyperpigmentation all the time. It just depends on what you do to prevent it, right? And then as far as me, I don't necessarily think, I want to see my business evolve. I want to see it evolve into a space where estheticians like love coming to work, and people love coming to get service and, you know, start their skincare journey and skin wellness journey rather, and learn about themselves, learn about their skin. Even if they only come once or come twice, at least they'll leave knowing, like, I learned about my skin. And now when I make certain decisions, I'm equipped with certain knowledge now that's more tailored to me to be able to make the right decisions for myself.
That's lovely. Yeah, I think you're the person to help spearhead that, like, really, because you are doing that in your journey and you're showing that, right? Even like with your studio, there's no other, I've never been to another studio like that, you know, outside of like an actual place where they do facials. It's a whole storefront or something, but that's I think that's great. So my next segment, I know you don't have any children yet, but do you happen to know the story of your birth?
I asked my mom, but it was so vague. I feel like women back in the day, like, they don't think of their birthing story the way that we're so, like, women today are so present to it. Because I remember asking my mom, I'm like, when you were pregnant with me, like, do you remember anything? Like, she was like, you know, my nose got big. She was like, you and your brother both gave me stretch marks. She said, I can't remember if her water broke at home, but I think it was like one of my cousins or my aunts that drove her to the hospital because she started feeling contractions. She said my dad, he wasn't there for the birth, but he came after. Okay. But then he wasn't there the day that she needed to sign the birth certificate. So that's how I ended up with my mom's last name and not my dad's. Okay. And because, like, they weren't like together, like, they were together, but it was like some stuff going on, I guess. I don't know. But either way, I ended up with my mom's last name and not my dad's. But yeah, I don't really remember that. Like, when I asked her that day, it was nothing of significance that I remembered that she told me about her birth story. And I only asked her because I'm like, yeah, my mom has never spoken to me about what the birth was like.
Yeah, I think you're right in the sense that sometimes they're their experience wasn't centered in that way around the story. It's more so, oh, you had a baby, and
Yeah.
like that journey of motherhood more so. My mother only remembers, the only thing that she remembers from my birth story is that they gave her an episiotomy, and I was her third child, and all she used to tell me growing up was they cut me. And I was just like, what? Why do they cut women? Like, what is that? But that was
Yeah.
the only thing she told me. So for years, I just thought, oh, they're just going to cut you, like, for no reason.
Wow.
So, yeah. Yeah, that
Wow.
was the only thing.
The
But
only thing that I grew up thinking about was the stretch marks. Because
like,
my mom, because my mom is a very slender woman. So looking at my mom, you would not know that she had 2 kids.
yeah.
So the only thing that she really has to show is the stretch marks on her stomach.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's all she talks about. She's like, because you and your brother did this to me. And you and your brother, that's why I can't wear a bikini. You and your brother. But my mom is like slender. Like you would look at my mom. She has arms like Angela Bassett. You would think my mom is in the gym every day. Wow. She's not. But she can do push-ups. She can do all that stuff. But my mom has always been a very attractive, like younger looking woman. And even in her late 50s now, she still looks very young. And yeah, when she's like, I have 2 kids and me and my brother come around the corner, they're like, those are not your children. She's like, yes, that's my daughter and that's my son. So yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. It's been so lovely. I can talk to you forever. But
thank you. This is awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad. Let the people know where they can find you.
So you can find out more about the studio at melaskinstudio.com. That's MELASKIN studio.com. The Instagram name is the same. If you want to follow me with like my personal stuff and like other content creation work that I do, or see pictures of my beautiful home, you can follow me on @Keishology, KEESHOLOGY on Instagram. Yeah,
that's wonderful. I just came across @Keishology the other day. I don't know why, and I was like, how did I not know about this? It was so great speaking with you. Thank you for being on my podcast.